In this InDesign CC 2021 tutorial, we're going to go through Classroom in a Book Chapter 10, which is all about creating tables. And I know tables seem very easy, but they're not quite as simple, and you will need to create them for your publication, whether you're working on a travel guide or a magazine. You will need to know how to do these. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's jump into InDesign. Let's go File, Open, and go find the Chapter 10. And let's grab that start file. Let's do a file save as. In my chapter 10 folder, the first initial last name, underscore InDesign, Classroom in a Book, chapter number 10, and save. All right, so you can see that as we are getting started, you're saying we're looking at tables, but there aren't any tables here. Well, we're going to create the table. So let's go ahead and make sure we're working in the advanced workspace. So come down here to advanced. And one of the first things we're going to do is convert this text into a table. So with our type tool, we're going to go ahead and highlight everything in this, or we're going to select everything in this frame. So we can do edit and select all. It's going to grab everything. Then we're going to come up here to table. We want to come down to convert table text to table. It's going to ask us some questions. So for column separator, we choose tab. For row separator, we choose paragraph, which means anytime it sees a tab, which is the little forward caret, that means it needs to put in a column. Anytime it sees a paragraph, it needs to make another row. And we're going to run with no table style for now and go ahead and say OK. Now we've made a very basic table. It's not pretty, but we're going to do quite a few things to it. Let's go ahead and do a Control S and save what we've got. Now let's learn how to add and delete some rows. So when we're working in tables, we have to always use the text type tool in order to select things. So using that type tool, let's go ahead in front of that first row, which starts with daily, to activate the cell. So we're going to get that, or we're going to go ahead and get a straight arrow. And let's go ahead and click in this first table. It says daily activities. And let's choose table, insert, and row. I'm going to say, what do you want to insert? I want to insert one row below the one that I'm on right now and say OK. So we went ahead and added a row. So now we're going to add some titles. So activity is one. I hit tab and jump to the next cell. Day, time, tab, and fee. So now it makes sense as to what's in each of these. Now we're going to go ahead and create some new column headings. So using our type tool, we're going to click in that first row of the second cell. So we're going to go here and select all of them. Let's go up to type and grab our paragraph styles. Maybe. And we want to go ahead and pull this down just a little bit. And we want to grab the one that says table column heads and assign that one. And then let's go ahead in the word fee. And we're going to activate this cell. So let's click out, click in one that says fee. And let's do table insert column. Table insert column. And it's going to make it a little bit bigger. We want one, and we want to go to the right and say, OK. Now it's a little bit bigger than our page. If that's all right, we're going to fix it here in a little bit. And let's do Control S and save. All right, so now what we're going to do is play with how to delete some rows. So if you look at the very bottom, we've got an extra row. So with our type tool, we're going to come right outside and select that row. Then we're going to go up here to table, come down to delete. We want to delete the row. So that's how you get rid of a row altogether. So I'm going to minimize those styles. So what if things are in the wrong order? You can go ahead and change. So we've got that growing is selected right now, that growing edible flowers. And we want to go ahead and move it so it's between tending and making. So all I have to do is take it and slide it until I get that blue line, and it'll now go up between tending and making. So that works out really well. It's very easy. You do not have to do any cut and paste. You can just move the entire row. So now let's use our type tool to adjust our column widths, some of our heights. So if you're here, you can see that you can, kind of like you would in a Word, you can slide these columns to be different widths. So for this drop-in activities, let's go ahead and make sure it is 3.5 inches wide. So I'm kind of go here to 3.5. And you can see that it's popping up that measurement. Oh, can't see the properties. Show me properties. Oops. All right, so we want to be 3.5 there. We want the next one to be at 4.25, so 4.25, pretty close. We want the next one to be at 5.5. All right, then our fee column should be 6.25, so 6.25. And now we're making that small enough to fit in there. And that blank image column, this is our image column, should be 7.75. So let's bring it in so we're not outside of our margin. All right, let's go ahead and do a Control S. And we're going to do what's called add a little bit of inset spacing, a little bit of padding to the inside of our cells so they aren't quite so tight touching the edges. So let's go to our window. Let's come down here to type and tables. Let's go ahead and open the one called table and open that one. And I'm going to go ahead and bring table cells, and cell styles all open because we know we're going to be using those here in the future. So we wanted the table panel. So we want to go ahead and use it to select our table. So let's go to in the table, right click, and we can do select and table. So it's going to say, okay, what do you want to do? We want to add a little bit of inset spacing and play with this alignment. So in the top cell inset field, which is this one right here, we're going to go ahead and change that to be 0.125. And I'm going to hit tab and it's going to change all of them. So now you can see we've got a little bit of space. We also want it to align everything in the center. So let's go ahead and make sure everything is aligned in the center. And that looks pretty good so far. So I'm going to go ahead and click out and do a Control S and save what we've got right there. Got these weird floating things, but I don't know what they are. All right, there are ways to import tables from things like Excel and Word. If you do need to do that, go ahead and flip to page 278. It'll go through lots of that information. For now, we're just going to work on formatting this table. So next thing we want to do is add a fill pattern. So it allows us to shade every other row, every other column, and kind of make it easier for people to read. So let's go ahead and click on the type tool and click somewhere in our table to activate it. Let's go to table options. And let's go ahead and grab alternating fills. Make sure our preview is turned on so we can see what we're doing. So we are on fills right here. Our alternating pattern is going to be every other row. And we're going to go ahead and just leave it as the gray. And now every other one has a gray background and we say, okay, we're happy with that. Now let's go figure out how to apply some color. So with our type, let's go into our daily drop-in activities where I'm already there. And let's go ahead and select the row. So I'm going to get right outside it with the straight arrow. Let's go window, color and swatches. Window, color, swatches. And from there, let's go ahead and choose the fill, which is the front one. Let's go ahead and choose that purple cool. And let's take our slider to about 50%. Not 5,000. And I'm going to hit tab. So now it's going to be purple. So I'm going to go ahead and click out and do a Control S and save. Now let's edit the cell strokes. So this is one that usually gives people a little bit of trouble. So the strokes on this one are the rules. They are the outlines of all these different cell boxes. So let's go to our type. Let's go into, let's click anywhere in here. So I'm in daily drop-in activities. Let's go table. We want to do select table. So it's going to select the entire thing. And then we get up the top, this what's called this proxy box. So these blue lines are going to indicate what we are working on. And we want to make sure that all the horizontal lines go away. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the horizontal lines. Let's make sure the side ones go away. Okay, that one's still got a side one. I wish I could zoom in so you could see that better. So I've got 1, 2, and 3 that are chosen. Then I want to go ahead over to the control panel for the strokes, which is right over here. And let's go ahead and type 0 in the stroke field so we don't have any strokes. And we can say we want to change now the vertical lines. So we're going to click the vertical lines. Select those. We want to unselect the horizontals because we do want to have the lines in between. So we want those to be 0.5, so not quite as big as they are right now. And let's go ahead and click out. And so you can see what we've done here is we've gotten rid of all the lines that went horizontal, but we have made the ones in between the columns a little bit more obvious. So let's do a Control S and save there. So when you're trying to control the lines, make sure you select the table, then go up to the proxy and make sure you're paying attention to that part. All right, now we're going to add some table borders. Let's see how much more we've got left. I'm going to go ahead and break this one into a second piece, and we'll come back for table borders.